The Caretaker's Gift. Based on the Dorothea Puente case, Margaret Flores had always been drawn to broken things. At 67, she ran the most beloved boarding house in Sacramento's F Street, her silver hair perfectly coiffed, her floral dresses pressed to perfection. The neighbors called her a saint for taking in society's forgotten, the elderly, the mentally ill, the addicted. "Mrs. Flores saved my life," whispered Harold, an 80-year-old former alcoholic, as he shuffled to dinner. The other 7 residents nodded in agreement, their faces gaunt but grateful. Margaret smiled, serving her famous casserole. She'd learned to cook during her 3rd marriage, before that unfortunate incident with the antifreeze. But that was so long ago, and she'd been so much younger then. Now she was simply a woman who cared too much. The social worker Janet visited monthly to check on the residents. "You're doing God's work," she'd say, noting how peaceful everyone seemed. What she didn't notice was how the resident roster never seemed to change, even though elderly people in boarding houses typically moved on. Margaret's real gift wasn't cooking or caring, it was chemistry. She'd been a pharmacist once, before the licensing board had asked all those tedious questions. She knew exactly how much digitalis to slip into Harold's heart medication, how to time the overdoses so they seemed natural. The death certificates always read natural causes or heart failure. But Margaret's true artistry lay in her garden. The tomatoes grew so large, the roses so vibrant. The neighbors often complimented her green thumb, never knowing that her secret fertilizer came from the basement, where she dissolved bodies in lye before feeding them to her plants. The twist came when Janet arrived for her monthly visit to find Margaret alone, frantically scrubbing the kitchen floor. "Where is everyone?" Janet asked. Margaret's eyes sparkled with pride. "They're all still here, dear. They'll never leave me now. Would you like to see my garden? The roses are particularly beautiful this year." As Janet stepped outside, she noticed 8 freshly planted rose bushes, each with a small garden stone bearing a name. Harold's stone was still damp with morning dew. Margaret wasn't a killer driven by greed or madness. She was a woman who had found the perfect way to ensure that the people she cared for would never abandon her, never disappoint her, never leave her alone. In her twisted logic, she had given them the ultimate gift, eternal care.